Nice. Thank you. Nice voice. Cool. So I'm going to run you through the screens as they are right now. Some of them have slightly changed, but I'll mention that that was just like a couple of small fixes during the user feedback, and I'll go through the stories one by one. So first of all, I'll go through the screens that someone would experience as they would get onboarded into the project, then and kind of the early, like basically a contributor who does not have an expertise and who might not even work at a particular organization. Then I'll switch over to an expert. So we'll assume that a person would already have a skill and would be vetted by the community or by the organization, and they would actually get a request for work. So the process is slightly different. And then I'll show you the screens would look like if a person is either already a kind of an administrative or operations role, and where they could actually set up the projects and how they look and what they work like, and how to put together basically the team and review everything. So I'll try to keep myself short because most of these things you're already familiar with, or they're also in other places. And if you're watching the recording, then this will be you'll be able to click around this prototype yourself as well and take your time. So we're starting off with basically kind of a homepage screen, which is just showing what this project is supposed to be. And then we have this like little card that should be almost like an advertisement for the project-based work and the coordination of people, and that it's supported by different organizations. We then go and find an organization, and here we have a page that summarizes all organizations that would be using this tool. There's a little bit of a mismatch. These should actually be all activated, because obviously if you only highlight the design tag, then only this one would be visible. But so yeah, there's individuals, organizations, we can show the projects that these organizations all have. We have here a quick description. I've already added a couple of details to this and kind of a members thing. There's also the skills that are represented, and you can open them up and look at what they are, because they're essentially just the tasks. And then a list of projects that are specifically at this organization. We'll then go and try to participate in this one. And we have the project page. So the project page just features a description, the dates, and the organization and the budget. And then we have a breakdown of a project owner. So that's the person who created it. And then we also have the team, and that team is consists of individuals who are completing the work or who have been put together here. And that shows the role. There's details currently in an external place, but we'll talk about that later. There's the dates for each individual role. So because every team member could have different kind of timeframes, there's an estimated payment. There's the person who's already scheduled on the project, and there's a link to be able to apply to actually contribute. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll click on apply as a contributor. There's a sign up flow. We're not going to go through that, but we'll just assume that we have now signed up, and we're reviewing the application. The application consists of the selecting tasks. So here we have a bunch of tasks that go into being a user researcher. And we can expand and look at the task details. They can be also hosted somewhere else. In this case, we're just going to select these three. That's the ones that we are interested in completing, and write why we should be chosen, agree to terms and conditions, submit application. Application will be in review. As we wait, that will be shown here. We can withdraw the application. We're not going to do that. So at some point, we'll receive an email which says that we have been selected, and we can do these tasks. It should actually be only 3. Sorry, that was my bad. And the suggested payment. And then if you agree with these conditions, you have to confirm this project. We actually had that in a prototype before differently. It was more like declining, but turned out that confirming it actually made more sense. And so you have this choice of either confirming it or emailing the person to raise any dispute. So we're going to confirm this. And I think, yeah, so there we go. So there's work in progress, click anywhere to complete it. So now the project happens, people are working, gets completed, then we're receiving an email that it's done, and we can review feedback the project and add it to the profile. And here we have the what could you have done better. This is specifically aimed to kind of do a self-reflection piece and look at how we have worked, and then review how the work was actually split. So this is data that will be shown later. And then we'll feedback the other person, the lead, right, what they did well, what they can improve on. And we can also leave them private note and say what kind of collaboration style they had and how they impacted our work. So we can select one of these three. And then we complete the payment external. So it's not being covered in here. It's just that we have requested through the, we requested the payment through the process above. Confirm, we get the confirmation screen, and here, from here, we will also receive at some point an email that says that we also have received feedback from the lead from Georgia, who we've been working with, and they confirmed that these tasks have been done well. That's the badges, and then we can review that feedback in the profile. So this is the profile. Features the name, the projects. It should actually be only two. This is wrong. Skills we currently have. This is probably one, I think. Yeah. And then co-workers, ideally it would be three, I think, because of the one project, but let's assume we had more. So that would be other project related. And yeah, then the URL for any portfolio and also an email address. Then here we see the past projects. This is an ever expanding portfolio history of all projects that have been completed for anyone. And we can review the work. So that's how, like, our role, we were user research contributor, you can review the work. And this is the feedback that we received from Georgia. And also the tasks that we've completed well. Then in main skills, that's kind of an upgrade. So now that we have joined D4 and we have worked as a user researcher, we have attained three three kind of skills, or let's say capabilities for the skills. And once they're full, once we've done all of them, the skills would be, we would have the whole skill badge. And here we can actually choose up to 3 tasks to show others what we'd like to learn next. So, oops, that's wrong. Didn't stitch that right. Anyway, so I don't remember where I have to click, but I have to, basically you can click any of those and it would say that you're interested in these tasks. And this is to signal to other people who want to work with you that that's an area you would like to expand on. All right, so this is, I think, covering everything from the first flow. Now let's look at the second one, and I'm just gonna rush through that real quick. I think, yeah, so this should be it. So now let's say we're Georgia and we're actually receiving the, we already have a user research skill. So there's a new project. This is from her perspective. We're receiving an email that she would like to be, or she should check out the project if she wants to work on it. This is the page that we've seen so far. So we can here apply for the lead role, which doesn't work. Why is it not working? I don't know. Prototype's broken. Okay, cool. In that case, this is only, okay, sorry, maybe I'll just go here. Maybe that's the one. No. Okay.
Howdy,
actually, hey, Matthias. Okay, let me actually skip this one then, because that's been we've looked at it many times already, and I'll jump straight into the project creation flow, because that's actually what we've been also researching this week. So let's assume we're skipping Georgia. We're now still Georgia, but now we can actually create a project ourselves. So we have an overview of all the projects that exist. That's basically how we started. And we belong to some organization, but we actually want to kind of instantiate one and instantiate a collaboration with someone else. So we go on to create new project, and here we just enter basically everything we need to know for creating a project. And there's a project title, project description, an external file, which organization should belong to. So in this case, it would be deep work. And we can also add a tag for the industry. And we can also add a stakeholder or a client if we wanted to. And now we're putting together the roles. So this is like kind of describing what needs to be done and putting together the skills that are needed. So we're starting off with the project owner, which is now me, or like that's us as observers. So we'll say we're a creative director. This is a predetermined role, so that's something that we've set up in the past already, and it already kind of exists in this product. There's no flow so far for actually creating these things. We'll do that separately for first, or like more like manually. But let's assume the tasks for this already exist, and it's a list like you've seen before with the user research. So we can have here, we show when it should begin, when the work should be completed, and we're saying we can specify the payment and a mentoring bonus if applicable. And so that's the creative director. We can also delete it and redo it completely, or we can add another role. And this is the alternative version, which is when it's not predefined, then we can type in like what the role would be and what they would be called, and can add a task. And we can add a task by, again, also describing like what should be done. So a title and then a description, and then that's also the role title. And we can save this and add more, as that would be kind of an expanding list as part of the project role. Okay, so let's assume, I think that's basically it. Let's assume we only have these two. In the prototype, we have more roles, so we have the same page that you've seen before. There's also team application deadline, terms and conditions, and now we submit it. And now that's the one that you've seen before, except now we can also edit it or delete it if we want to. The details are all still the same. And I think from here, we just kind of wait until it starts and until the deadline is over, and work is in progress, so we can complete it. And then once completed, this is an email that we receive once everybody else has already feedbacked each other. So we'll see some kind of mutual feedback from everybody, and then we can review the project finally. So say what the product owner could have done better, and then what the feedback is to the individual team members, what they can improve on. We can also issue them a warning. This is kind of an optional thing for when someone has a skill already, or like a skill badge, but they're not, for some reason, they haven't been able to do the work as promised. And so this is like kind of to raise a red flags for others to double check the capability of that person. And yeah, this is not the person that was on the team. And let's say we filled that out, and now we kind of complete the payment. Again, that would be external. So here we can see the amounts that have to be paid out. Obviously, they can also be renegotiated, but this is just showing everything based on the tool and all of the kind of dynamic between individuals. And so we're here again. This is done, and you have also seen this before. So we have the past project and review the work. There are the roles on the project. There's an in-depth like feedback from everybody. And then it's not scrolling, unfortunately, but that would be also underneath the tasks that the person has completed, and also the skills. So this covers pretty much everything that we have so far. Also, Matthias, just for your context, I've went through the like another couple of details before you joined, but I also recorded this, so you can rewatch that later, or you can also talk about that separately. Cool. So now I'm just going to hand over to Justina, and she can like present a couple of slides on the user feedback. And as she does, please feel free to use the Miro board to write down any notes and any feedback, any thoughts that you think that we can improve upon, because that'll help us to also decide what to work on next. Here's support for everybody again. And yeah, feel free to take the stage, Justina.
All right. Yes, just 1 second. Let me share the screen. Okay, then hello everybody who didn't met me before. Yeah, basically we did some user research, and I would like to present some results. Then yeah, basically the main fact, like why we did it, then in order to validate a design made by a hypersprint, and and to bring some tactical strategical insights and recommendations for further designs. And the table of content. And for the research method, we interviewed and tested application with 7 users from various backgrounds. Then 4 participants were familiar with the freelance work and they are actively involved in DAOs. And 3 participants work closely with particular protocol and are mostly involved with the project creation and planning. Then basically they are more suitable for the third flow, what Andrei showed, that when they creating the projects. Then like some descriptions about the users, then some content creators on social media, data analyst, community manager for Graph, yes, like people from the rabbit hole, freelancer working on branding projects, person from Vega protocol, and adoption lead from Near protocol. Then as you probably know already, but like our long-term goal is in 2 years, deep work will be a decentralized proof of skill work reputational protocol used by most organizations for establishing trust between people and organizations, tracking skills of members and finding people with certain skills. Then basically after this research, we are highly, like we realized that the people have interest in deep work protocol, and and that is basically is better than the current Discord system. And the desire to find work and proceed with the process is perfect, and then in one platform. And users like to see various projects and delve deeper into each of them before making application themselves. And the main blockers this time was the clear understanding of roles and expert collaborator relations. And from the user interviews and tests, the main areas to improve are more details of the mentorship concept, then payments and task distribution between expert and collaborator, and clarity of how skill 3 points are calculated. And about the sprint questions, then the first one, that can skills be represented of the actual work done? Then the idea is that yes, but users still need more information, because users responded positively about skill system, but they had some doubts related with numbers associated with them. Then basically the numbers which are written next to the skills. It's not very clear how the skills actually correlate with the particular project. And some users lacked a little bit of diversity of skills because the amount for them was limited. And also other thing what they pointed out is skills transferability from other platforms, because they believe that this would be a great addition for more efficient way to identify suitable candidates for the project. Then it's more related to the community, that if you see that the person has skills in other platform, it's more chance to hire him versus somebody else. And also more explanations is needed in order to bring clarity to the current skill calculation system, as I mentioned before. And can we make sure that user sees the value to go through the onboarding and project discovery? Then again, yes, but some details still missing. Then users in general had no problem distinguishing between active and ongoing projects. Provided details seemed clear and understandable, visual design of project cards is aesthetically pleasing and serves the purpose. But some users missed in-depth onboarding of the platform itself. The main doubts were clarification of the roles in which they can apply, how many people will be working on particular project, and general requirements for collaborator to join. And users also mentioned that adding terms and conditions of the projects would be a helpful thing to have. And for the third, that will DAOs will be able to split projects into tasks? The answer is yes, because users didn't have problems to understand task splitting process. Everything seemed clear and made sense. Users mentioned that they would like to know more about the requirements of particular task and the budget assigned per task. But beside that, there is no major issues related with task distribution. And now a little bit about like a feedback, like more specified on specific parts of the page. Then about the landing page, the positive parts that the visual design was noticed as minimal and clear, and that it conveys the message that the basically project is related with Web3. Like almost all users mentioned this, that like the first impression is just, okay, is a Web3. Then social proof brings credibility, and users keen to explore organizations. Then yeah, we had users who were like straight going to the button of find organizations and basically learn more. And opportunities for improvements, then to reduce element sizing, because it was noticed that some elements are just like a little bit too big. And it's not very clear if it was because of the screen size or in general as default. And also problems with spacing and column alignments. There's a little bit of like not very clear. And yeah, the other thing, right? Yes, the other page is related with the creation of the new project. Then this one is from the third flow for people who creating projects themselves. Then the positive part that in general, like the fields are very self-explanatory, and the opportunities for improvements is stakeholders and clients field. Like it would be good to clarify the difference between the client and organization, because for users it wasn't super clear. And other thing is tags. Just it was a little bit of a request to having like wide amount of tags already by default, but also provide the opportunity for organizations to add their own custom tags if they need. That basically they could request it. And for the email, then the positive that messages are clear. There's a good amount of text and all information is relevant, and call to action button is well placed. And opportunities for improvement, that user weren't clear what to do in case of disagreement between parties about the payment share. Because this email specifically related with like when the project is finished, like is officially completed, then yeah, and basically there's, you can see that there's whole breakdown of the payment. Then yeah, users weren't clear like who should have a last word in this situation, if between parties, the expert and collaborator, there is some sort of conflict, argument like that the share wasn't like right. Then yeah, and basically the users raised the question, do the project creator need to verify that everything is fine and all parties are happy, or who should do that? Then for the next, what's happened? Yes. Okay, then work reviews. Then positive part that users really like the section and saw a lot of values in having feedback field for collaborator and also for self-reflection. And that fields are very clear and easy to understand. And majority of users really like to have these reviews public. And opportunities for improvement is the slider of the share could be incremental, like basically here, with sections of numbers in order to faster pick the number. Like basically as an example, instead of going from like 51, 52 and so on, this will be 50, 60, 70 and so on. Then yeah, just like for space. Yes, for organization page, then positive part that like really filters stand out for some users, because it's a very good feature to have. Users mentioned that it could save a lot of time while browsing the projects. Names and information about the organizations are well organized and following the visual hierarchy. And opportunities for improvements could be more information about the organizations. Then, as an example, link to the web. It would be nice to have. And also one point about the people avatars here. And then in this card, they were perceived very differently by different users. Like some users value the option to see other people involved and maybe even connect with them. And others were confused of these people role, and they kind of perceive them as maybe applicants also for the same position. Then yeah, it wasn't like very clear like what kind of role they play here. And for the tasks page, then positive parts, the tasks are very clearly written. Users appreciate having them in the list and being able to review the details. And the opportunity for improvement is monetary value or time per task, because users would like to see how much each task is worth in order to make final decision. Because now you can see only the details, like what actually you need to do, but not like time and the financial value of it. And yeah, of course, like this page, everybody loved it because it's nice. And yeah, some recommendations outside of like the flow itself. Then basically the highlights mentorship options. Then users would really like to better understand how the mentorship concept works itself. At the moment, there is no direct place where explanation about mentorship duties, payment, and work distribution could be found. And also some other things is about the subscribe button next to the projects. Then yeah, it wasn't also clear for the users what's the reason to have this button and what kind of outcome they would get when they press it. Either there will be a newsletter with some projects, and yeah, the problem more was the wording of the button, because like there's no clear expectation set with it. And yeah, like other things related with the payment options. Then some users said that they would like to have like more options, like more customizable options for payment. As an example, the tokens from the protocol that they could pay with it. And yeah, and basically that's it from the user research part. If you have some questions, please.
Nice. Thanks so much, Justina. That was great. Cool. Does anybody have any questions regarding this? Maybe also Matthias, you just brought up the
yeah. I have a few, like this in my mind is a tool that we should keep pretty agnostic, and we shouldn't really tell users how to use it. So like saying it's for Web3 and Web3 alone, I think is like an incorrect description of this. And like saying it's for short term or saying it's just for DAOs, I think that's a good way to pigeonhole yourself. And this tool should remain agnostic, because that'll allow this tool to reach maximum usage, right? And I noticed there's some wording that seems to like you know, start to push us into a corner of like, this is what it's used for, right? But my goal, like in the development, would be to really make this agnostic. And so if someone, if a manager at T-Mobile wanted to seek out talent for long-term positions, I think this would be a great tool for their use, right? And I would love to see adoption in you know, traditional, more traditional working environments, as well as, you know, the Web3 space with this. Yeah, that was just my idea, is the wording we should be careful with.
Yeah, I agree. Let me actually stop the recording, just because now we can kind of open this up more in an open conversation.